I'm Jerry Eisterhold, proprietor of TerraVox, and we're going to talk today about propagation. We have to propagate our own vines because we can't buy them in a nursery, and you certainly can't plant seeds because every seed will make a different grape. So every Cabernet vine out in the world once came from a single vine, and everything's been propagated asexually since then. The general idea of what we're trying to do up here is trying out these Native American varietals to see which ones really make excellent wines, which means sometimes they don't. So the original setting here, planting, had 60 odd varietals that we collected from various places around the country. And when we find one that we like, we need to make a little bit more of it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. There are basically three ways of producing a grapevine from an existing vine. One is you can take cuttings, which is what we have to do initially when someone sends us material from someplace else in the country. But the cuttings look like this. The convention is that you cut flat at the root end and angled at the top end, because when you get a pile of sticks, sometimes you can't tell which end is up, literally. But the way to get these things to grow is you can just stick them in the ground, but that's a very low percentage of success. You want to warm up the bottoms and let them callus with kind of stem cell material while the tops are still up in the winter cold. So that requires a heated bed to get the roots to start ahead of the budding, or else the buds will come out and there's no roots to support it. So the trick is to get the vine in balance as it's getting started. Or you can make layerings, which is a safer way of doing it, because we'll see that out in the vineyard. So if you look down here, you'll see why we need to do this. This varietal doesn't really like to propagate either. So it's taken about 3 years to get this stand of grapes in, but we still have gaps, and that's why we're doing this thing called layering, which is to bring a vine down into the earth and back up again. And you can tell by the fact that this is picked up, this has grown considerably over last season. And this is a relatively spindly thing, so it's actually taken root in there and made a new vine. And now we just need to put this guy over there, because grapes are not inherently mobile. We kind of have to help them out a little bit. Doing layerings is very secure because you know that you will get a plant out of it, although it's very time consuming, and it's frankly a pain to work around all that in the vineyard because it just complicates the undergrowth. We're simply getting this guy into the ground as quickly as possible before these rootlets dry out. If I were doing a bunch, I'd have a tub of water out here to keep everything moist, but this is just seconds away in the neighborhood. There. And there we go. Or you could do grafting, which is taking the vine that you want and putting it on top of a rootstock from a different vine that's already established or will be established. So this is the bud graft. And you can see this is a plant that's been there for a couple of years. And last spring Ed came through, and you cut a little incision. You wait until this is growing and the sap is flowing, but you keep your budwood in a chiller so that it's still dormant when you put it on, so that the worst thing you can do is have this sort of sprout out before there's enough plant flow to support it. But once it does, this started as a little bud this last spring, and now it's put out about 20 feet of growth this last season, so it really likes the head start that we've given it. So TerraVox, our focus is American heritage grapes. Many of them, most of them, are not grown commercially anywhere else in the country. A few of them are actually that have some history behind them, have success around the world, but very little familiarity in America. So we're trying to revive that history because there's great value in it, and they make interesting wines, and it's sort of a celebration of diversity.